Hi, my name is Alexandria Anderson, and I decided to do my creative application project on Masacio's The Tribute Money. And I decided this because it's a great example of Renaissance art, and it's also a great example of art. Thank you.
Tribute Money is a work of biblical art from Renaissance Italy. It was painted in the Church of Santa Maria del Carmine in Florence. Masaccio had help from an artist a lot of us have heard about, Masolino, but Masaccio died in 1428, so the piece was left uncompleted until Filippino Lippi actually finished it sometime before 1504. The style they use is fresco, which is color pigments. They're mixed directly with water and then applied to a lime background. What we have here is a couple of different examples of frescoes. What it means with fresco is that the paint has been mixed with water without a bonding agent, and they put it onto wet plaster, which becomes the bonding agent. And after the plaster dries, the pigment actually becomes part of the wall. So it is no longer painted on the wall, it becomes a part of the plaster. The tribute money has sort of a strange design to it when you think about how paintings are aligned. The story is told starting in the middle of the painting, where Christ, Peter, and the tax collector are speaking to each other with the disciples and the people around them. Christ has given up all his worldly possessions and cannot pay the tax collector. So he directs Peter on how to pay the tax collector, which is shown to the right of Peter and Christ, which we'll look at next. So Masaccio is taking steps to describe a Bible story, Matthew 17:27. Here we're shown where Jesus tells Peter to not offend them, go to the sea and throw in a hook, and take the first fish that comes up, and when you open its mouth you will find a shekel. Take that and give it to them for you and me. So this is definitely a miracle that Jesus is performing, and as you see here, Peter has gone and listened to Christ and gone fishing, and here we find he has the shekel. And here we have the last scene in the painting where Peter pays the tax collector. Way to go, Peter!
Hi, it's me again. I actually wanted to go a little bit more in depth into something we're about to talk about. I have in my dining room this portrait of Jimi Hendrix, and in Masaccio's The Tribute Money, he is really world renowned for using chiaroscuro, which I might be pronouncing it incorrectly, but it's the use of light and dark to create three dimensions. If you look at Jimi Hendrix here, you see how his scarf is really bright and his clothes are very dark, and even the drabness around the outside, it makes him pop out of the painting. He looks real, his cheekbones look real, the lightness around his nose, it makes him very noticeable, and this painting catches my eye every time I walk in this room, so it made me think of it. See if you can see how Masaccio uses this contrast between light and dark to create three dimensions in his painting.
Masaccio creates depth in the tribute money by using atmospheric and linear perspective. Firstly, Peter and the natural scene are set back from the circle of men and the tax collector. Masaccio used dull colors to offset the two scenes, and he foreshortened Peter and the trees to put them in the background. Now, looking at the tax collector's house, you can see how the orthogonals lead the viewer's eye directly to Christ, so that the story starts there in the middle. Okay, now we're going to look a little deeper and talk about how Masaccio created the realism inside this painting. First, at the semicircle of men, they're all dressed in realistic outfits of the time. But the garb is draped over them. You can see the weight to it, the diagonal and horizontal lines of Peter's fabric on the front of his outfit. You can see how it hangs down off of him, how Christ is holding up a piece of his with his arm. It creates that feeling of weight, like they're actually wearing clothes. He also placed the tax collector between the viewer and the semicircle of men, again giving it that three-dimensionality that you also see with the shadows at the men's feet, creating the semicircle around Christ instead of just a straight line of men. Now, if you look at Peter's face, you can read astonishment on his face. He cannot believe what Christ is telling him to go and do, or that it's going to work. But as we know, it does work. Christ is performing a miracle. When Peter goes over to the water, you actually see in the bottom right-hand corner how Masaccio has created the ripples in the water to give, again, that flowing motion of the water, and you see it behind the smaller trees that created the atmospheric perspective. Thank you. I hope you learned a little something about this Italian Renaissance artist, Masaccio, and the style of artwork fresco.